were very much hoping that work from home or flexible working, or call it what you will, would effectively be enshrined in some form of legislation. And clearly, I think it's that aspect, perhaps, of the legislation that's frightened the government more than anything else. I mean, should it be a right for a worker to say they can spend Mondays and Fridays at home?
Well, yes and no. I mean, if you have a right,
either one of those.
Not either or. Yes, if you have a right, then you have a corresponding duty. So the corresponding duty of any worker who is allowed, permitted to work from home, or has a right to work from home, has to work from home. And as you say, they mustn't skive off, they mustn't do domestic duties, they must do their work. But actually, there is no evidence that workers who are working from home have worked less productively. In fact, there is evidence to show that they've been more productive. They can work, for example, if their children go to bed, once they put their children to bed, the employees go back to the computer and do some work, some extra work.
I've found all the best things in life have happened because I've been with people and you've bounced ideas off people, or you've thought, goodness me, she's doing that rather better than I am. And actually being together, isn't feeling part of a team an essential part, whether it's a civil service department or a private company? Isn't that what gets the best results, not being on your own?
Well, I think it's both. I think you're absolutely right that work is also a social event. You're quite right. You do learn from watching how other people cope with a difficult telephone call or cope with writing a report, and you get the support. And I absolutely agree that what was called the new normal isn't the new normal. The norm is to work from your office or from your workplace.
Yeah.
It isn't normal to work from home. So I do dispute and disagree with those who say, well, the new norm is to work from home.
It's not, is it? Don't you think in 2 years' time we're all going to be back in the offices just as we were before the pandemic?
I'm not quite so sure about that. I think the employer's view of the correct working model is changing. And certainly, for example, women and men who are taking parental leave and who need to work from home because they've got children to look after or elderly dependents to look after, employers are getting used to that model. But I don't think working from home full-time will ever come into the workplace or the workers.
And should the government put something in legislation about the right to work from home, or should we leave it between employers and employees?
I personally think we should leave it, because most employers are very reasonable, and virtually all workers that I come across are hard-working, decent, conscientious people who don't skive off.
Gillian Howard, I agree with that completely. The idea that pieces of legislation solve everything doesn't actually work. Thank you very much indeed.